Hi everybody. Did you all enjoy the show?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for sticking around for our Q&A. I think it's going to be really good. These are normally really just interesting ways to get a bit of insight into the show and the various people who've been involved. So just some quick introductions for everybody. Some people didn't have a programme, so I thought we might just whiz round. Do you want to start, Angela?
Hello, I'm Angela Ferns. I play Michelle. I don't know what to say.
I think that's it.
That's sufficient.
Yeah, it's sufficient.
I'm Clare and I was playing Freya.
I'm Ollie, I'm assistant director.
I'm Flo, I wrote it.
I'm Ellie Pikin and I directed it.
Okay, I'm Vikki and I'm just going to be kind of hosting this Q&A. So the first thing we're going to do is to start off with a couple of pre-prepared questions so that you can all have a moment to think of your own, and then we're going to open it up to you guys, and if you've got any questions you want to ask, please feel free. The first question I think is one for Flo, and it's I think a question that probably a lot of people have, which is why did you decide to write character? What inspired you?
Well, I did a creative writing masters, and I think going into it I thought everyone was going to just be awful and really pretentious and stuff, but everyone was pretty nice. Apart from me. We all sort of, succumbed to the kind of romanticising the writing and all that stuff, and I think I just got a lot of inspiration from that, and it's quite cathartic writing it really, because I think starting out as a writer you do find yourself struggling with these things, and I think it came from there, but also the actual premise actually happened to someone that I know. They were trying to finish the novel before the 10:30 and went to like a countryside house and invited their friend to come and help them do it. So I just stole that completely. So that was where the idea came from, really.
Well, I think we can agree it worked, so that's great. Thank you. So there's kind of follow-up question to that, and it's really for Ellie, which is like, what made you want to stage character? And for anyone that doesn't know, can you explain why it was that we came to be doing it as part of the Fringe?
Sure. Well, Blackshaw champions new writing as a theatre company, and so when it came to thinking about what we were going to do at this year's Wandsworth Arts Festival, we basically got in touch with all the writers who have previously worked with us on our new writing nights, which we do every other month. So we've got a myriad of fantastic writers, and so we basically contacted the cream of the crop, which included Florence, of course, and basically said, have you got something that is going to be suitable in terms of length, because we've got this opportunity coming up. And we got quite a lot of submissions, we read through all of them, and when I first had a look at Florence's, I'm sure she won't mind me saying that, having looked at lots and lots and lots of new writing scripts for various projects that we've done, if I see something that's a dialogue heavy, modern two-hander, I'm very apprehensive because they can be awful. It's so easy to have two people on the stage for an hour and a half talking, and for all of it to be tripe. So I was a little bit trepidatious, and as soon as I read the synopsis, I was like, oh, that's nice. That's quite interesting. And I think I laughed out loud within the first 2 pages. So that was just a bit of on-stage flirting. So I think that was it for me, really. Decision made. Yeah.
Great. Okay. So a question for anybody to answer, and you can kind of all have a go at answering this one. Is do you have a favourite bit of the show? Something that you've particularly enjoyed? Yeah. You were going to say that.
They're only in it for snacks.
Not the eating of them, but that just because it's such a surprise. And when I first read the script completely cold, I was in hysterics for about 20 minutes and uncontrollably sobbing because I just didn't expect it. So yeah.
That's your favourite bit. Have you got a favourite bit, Clare?
Yeah, I like the shredding.
I don't think anyone's surprised by that, right?
Is it genuinely fun?
Yeah.
It fills me with a little bit of fear the first time I use the shredder every night, even though we've checked the extension cord goes around the back and it's plugged in and it's switched on. I think we're still on the second show. I did something funny to the shredder and I thought it had stopped working for me, and I thought I was going to have to shred the rest of the script with my hand.
Yeah. We've had a lot of Plan B discussions.
Yeah, which should have been quite extreme.
Which include Claire eating the script.
I actually read the whole of the scene, basically it's backed by young people, almost exclusively, but the scene where that very drunken conversation is just, it reminds me a lot of conversations I've had, I think. So yeah, that whole scene I just really love. So.
Michelle McManus.
Yeah. It gets them off every time.
Any opportunity to mention her. It's okay by
Are
me.
you just a massive fan? Is that
I'm just trying to bring her back.
a one-woman effort, I think? For me, I have two favourite moments, because one of them is a serious moment, and that's when Freya's describing her mum's funeral. So I think that's really touching. But my other favourite moment, there's lots of script favourite moments, but favourite like show performance moment is when Angela's on all fours screaming at Clare, "Do you know what I've done for the last 2 years? Nothing! Nothing!" Because it's just so outrageous. That's my favourite bit.
Okay, good. Right, does anyone in the audience have a question that they'd like to ask? Anyone or everyone? Go for it.
I've got a question for Flo. I'm sure not just myself, but other people watching it, there's times when it's kind of, why are these guys friends? I mean, it's quite a weird friendship, and I just think, everyone, what do you think's next in store for Clare and Michelle after the end of the show?
I think they're very well thought out questions.
I am a thing.
I think that this is just. He's my friend, that's why he's being like this.
That was a good question.
I think that this is just going to be the nature of their friendship. They're just going to sort of drift apart and come together again and have arguments and sort of. But by the time I finished writing it, I think I sort of realised they're always going to be friends because there's just something that pulls them back together. And I think Michelle does actually really love Freya. Even if she just treats her badly, and I think Freya just gets a lot of stability from Michelle in a weird way, because she just knows Michelle's always going to be there, even if she's sort of unbearable. So I think it's
She's a good distraction.
Yeah, and I think I wanted to write an unconventional friendship because not all female friendships were just like, oh, sisters, like cosmopolitan drinks.
I don't think any female friendships are like that.
I don't know any that are.
And I wanted it to be difficult and challenging, but I think, what's next in store is they're just going to keep doing this.
We certainly felt that the script comes full cycle, because they just keep going around in circles with everything that they do and everything they talk
But
about.
you'll find out in character 2. Which is coming next summer.
Has anyone else got a question they'd like to ask? I've got some more, so it's all pressure.
Yeah, I've got a question, and again it's for Flo. Surprise. So obviously you said that the play is based on a situation that happens to someone that you know. But I was just wondering what other bits you perhaps took from kind of your own life and
Your friends.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff. You probably recognise some stuff.
I still use vanilla body spray.
There's nothing wrong with that. I don't know, it's very hard for me to kind of separate the things that are real from what I'm making up, because I just kind of, I take in a lot, and some of it's sort of like half made up and half inspired by true stuff. Like the thing about the mum's funeral where the coffin is going in and it makes a funny noise, that happened to somebody I know, and I had to really quickly before she saw the play be like, I've used this thing that happened to you. Is that okay? And she's like, yeah, it's fine. I think, it's hard not to steal things that have happened to people in real life. But I couldn't tell you all the things because they've just forgotten now. They've just become so worked into the script that it's hard to pick out what's real and what's not. Really.
Is there a question at the back? Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, it's sort of for everyone, I suppose, in terms of how much has it changed since you first read it as director? Is it literally word for word like the same? Has there been any input by the actors, or is it very much like what was on the page originally?
I think the script came to us several drafts in, from my understanding, and was really tight to start with. So any edits we've made have been really minor, like we've changed the date of the 21st birthday letters to 2005 to match up with the year we're performing in now. I can't think of any.
There may have been mistakes.
I was thinking you both are really worried. Why do you look really worried? We're talking about intentional edits.
Yeah.
I don't think we really made it. Oh, we did. There was one line which referenced when Michelle's leaning over Freya. No, sorry, other way around. Yeah, Freya's leaning over Michelle and interrogating her, and she says, "Oh, it's becoming very David Caruso" in the original script, and we changed it to CSI Miami, which is the actor David Caruso is in CSI Miami, because we thought it was a little bit too niche.
Well, Angela hadn't heard of it.
I didn't know who it was.
We thought
So
one
that's-
out of 4 of us, the read-through hadn't heard of it. It was probably
Yeah.
Trying to bring him back as well.
He's not gone. He's very much still here.
He's still wearing those sunglasses.
Yeah.
You'll be glad to know you'll watch the montage of him.
Yes, I recommend everyone goes on YouTube and looks up David Caruso sunglasses, because it is a montage of him at the beginning of every CSI Miami episode giving a one-liner that's really inappropriate, and then like if someone's been beheaded, he goes, "Well, they really lost their head," and then puts the sunglasses on. It's brilliant. Yeah, it was really important research that we did.
Yeah,
15 minutes well spent.
Yes.
Anyone else got a question? Yes.
It's a question for all of you, really. What do you feel is the most challenging aspect of your personal role in production?
That's a good one.
It's quite a challenge when the shredder's going to keep a straight face, actually,
Right.
I'll be absolutely honest. I can't look at Clare, otherwise I will break down, because it happened the first night, so that's why I just stare quite forcefully at the typewriter while she's doing it, because I can't look. It's not a really big challenge, but it is every night. Corpsing is quite a big thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'm quite a giggler as well.
You've both done very well. Ollie, what do you think?
In terms of actually watching the performance, actually, I do always have a heart stop moment when the first time you go to shred something, I do always take a slight intake of breath, because I'm like, if this doesn't work now, there is nothing we can do. I think in terms of process, the whole process has been so fun and so unstressful that it's
been one of the most enjoyable
Yeah.
rehearsal processes I've had, and I think that's partly because the script came so ready for us, and also because Clare and Angela have worked together, and with me a couple of years ago, so which had no impact on the casting, but it did have impact on the process, because it meant actually you skip those kind of first few rehearsals where everyone's getting to know each other and getting to know the script, and all that kind of breaking ice stuff didn't need to happen.
You've got kind of shared language already, haven't you?
Yes.
You've worked together before.
Yeah.
But I think as well the script has been it's sort of put together so tightly that there were none of. Normally the challenge is, especially with new writing, is to fill in the gaps or work out how to deal with lines that you think are clunky in some way, or bits of relationships that don't add up. And we've been lucky with this one.
I think sometimes as well when it's a new write, sometimes the logistics of actually staging it can be sometimes quite tricky, whereas this has been so, everything actually operates as is written, and it's not, there's no kind of bits where you're looking at it being like, how the hell are we actually going to make that work?
There's no explosions or
No.
no.
Did you have any challenges writing it? Or anything?
Yeah, it took me a while to write it, but it's more just like waiting to see how the audience is going to react, and like it takes a little bit of a while before people like settle into it and whatever, and then when those first laughs start to come, you're like, oh, it's fine. But that's probably. I mean, I've barely been involved in the production because I live in Edinburgh. Like an idiot. And they've done just such a great job with it, and it's like I was just saying to Ellie before, it's like so close to how I imagined it, and I just think it's been really easy for me because I've done nothing. I just came and watched it and enjoyed it. But,
Brilliant. Anyone else got another question? Go for it.
For the director.
Hello.
Hi. It's nice. What is the significance, if any, of the banging tunes of them people?
Well, need you even ask? I mean, to speak for themselves. Well, it's referenced specifically by Florence in the script that in the scene where they're drinking, there's an M People track playing, and it is specified that it's moving on up actually. So that was our inspiration, and because also Angela's character Michelle mentions it quite early on as being something that they listened to when they were teenagers.
shared history.
Yeah, so for us we kind of thought it's mentioned twice, so it's probably Flory might think it's important, and I think it is kind of that shared history idea, and it's very, very of its time. So I think most people in the audience will have immediately clicked back to maybe their own time as a teenager listening to M people in the 90s. Gel pens, yeah.
Any other questions?
To anyone, do you think that Shell will ever finish her book?
I think Freya becomes the novelist eventually. That's my
that would really annoy Michelle.
She's a true soul poet because you do. She is just, and whereas I think eventually, I don't know what will happen, but I can imagine that Freya is actually the budding novelist. She just never does it.
And will Shell become a headhunter?
Maybe. She'd actually be quite good as a headhunter.
I have a question that somebody submitted to us via social media. Yeah, 21st century.
Look how excited everyone is.
We are not Luddites in this room. Right. The question is, I guess it's sort of for anybody, but I think maybe we'll start with you two. Is this play about the time when these two women are realising that their lives so far have been sort of false, and are they now kind of ready to realise who they truly are? It's quite profound.
It is quite profound. I think for me it kind of comes back to that cyclical issue. So whilst they may have realised various things about themselves, I don't know that it's going to affect any change. Because Michelle says at the end, I've come to terms with it in the past 2 minutes, and it's all kind of, it's quite surface. And I think in terms of their relationship, I don't think anything will change. But I think there's the possibility, I suppose, that it will affect change in probably Freya more than Michelle, in terms of sort of life direction. I think it's quite a modern crisis that they're experiencing. And obviously, they're both having issues with work and career in particular. So I don't know that anything they've realised is going to stick.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think they're just going to continue to sort of get by and just be friends, and just basically what I said earlier. But
maybe they've realised that who they are is people that don't dig too deep because it's too difficult.
How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think the ending just a cool. It's just sort of, it's acceptance of who they are, what their friendship is, and that life is going to throw things at them and they'll have an argument about it and just muddle through. I think it's just a really nice ending of just a friendship that's just going to carry on, and they're not going to ask too many questions about it.
Has anyone got any more last questions? Yeah?
Sorry, I wish it was a bit more uplifting to round it off, but it was the bit where you said when your mum was in the coffin and she was kind of going away, and you said she wasn't actually there, and you thought actually she wasn't there. So this sort of question is sort of flow, interesting you, but it was like that bit was so kind of serious. I thought, was that a thought process that's gone through your head when someone died that they're not actually there? Was that you thinking how someone in that situation might think? Because it was just, I was kind of really like, whoa, at that bit. Is that something that was, something that you kind of thought or felt, or is it something you thought someone might feel in that situation to try and relate to it?
I was just trying to put myself in Freya's shoes, I think. And the whole thing that I wanted to, throughout the play, I wanted the idea to come across that Michelle is just never articulate, and whenever she says anything, it's always got some sort of obscure pop culture reference, or not so obscure. But Freya seems to have the ability to just come out with these kind of, really neat little sound bites and these kind of poetic things, and that's why Michelle's always sort of frantically copying down what she says. And to me, that was just another opportunity for Freya to say something kind of, really deep. But it was also, I was trying to tap into this sadness that she can't get over, that she's lost her mother and she's finding it very hard to deal with. And so I was just trying to put myself in Freya's head there, really.
Good answer.
I have got a final uplifting question to finish on, which is we've got obviously a lot of women involved in this production. It's great to see something that's been written by a woman, directed by a woman, with 2 women starring in it, with 2 really good, strong female characters. So my question, I'm sorry, Ollie.
It's fine.
My question is, how do you feel about being funny women, and like, is that important to you?
Yes. I think for me personally, comedy is absolutely key to any theatre performance, because I think if you're not making people laugh, what's the point? I think theatre needs to be entertaining. I think comedy is key to that. That's just something I feel quite strongly about. And so when I'm working as a director, I do try to highlight funny moments without preempting, oh, I know the audience will find this hilarious. Because inevitably you end up thinking, oh, that's quite funny, they'll laugh at that, and then they don't. They laugh at something completely different that you've never thought was entertaining at all. But I think working with people who have the ability to be funny and who have natural comic timing has been an absolute gift, because both Angela and Clare are very quick off the mark, and very good at a bit of impro as well in the rehearsal room, and we've just kind of found key moments that have worked and kept them in. And even as the show run's gone on, they've done something and the audience has laughed, and I've said, make sure you do that again next time. But I think also the script obviously is a gift. Like, Florence is obviously a very, very funny writer, and it was easy to bring out the funny bits because they were all right there in front of us.
Yeah. I think a lot of the script came about from me just coming up with an idea that made me laugh, and then I'd construct a scene around it. So, I don't know, I sort of grew up in a household where it was important that you were funny. It's more important than, like, you know, being good at sports or your boyfriend. I'm really bad at sports.
It's okay, you're in good company.
So it was just always, I just wanted to make people laugh, and whatever, you know, women are funny.
They are.
Just got to give them a chance.
Yeah. I think what I really liked as well is that, as you say, it's, you know, written by a woman, directed by a woman, 2 very strong female leads, but it's not a play for women. It's not a come and see this radical feminist piece. This is just funny, accessible theatre for everybody, and it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, you're going to enjoy it. So I think that's what's really important, and something that I think people need to be doing more often.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, guys?
Always pleased to be called funny.
Yeah.
You're in a comedy play.
Well, I think it's well deserved. So if no one's got any other questions, thank you very much for coming along, and thank you guys for being really honest with us.
Do you want a drink?
We're all done.
Drink. You have actually.
Put my letters away.
Oh,
I
yes.
never see them again.